advertised January 7, 2016. Notification was sent to the Star Ledger and promptly posted on the Municipal Public Bulletin Board and filed in the office of the Municipal Clerk informed the public of the time and place according to the provisions of the Open Public Meeting Law, Chapter 231, PL 1975. Good evening, everyone. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor.
Mr. Goriello, please.
Yes, I have a number of things to report this evening. The county held a pre-construction meeting the other day on the Center Street signal project. It's probably going to take 12 weeks, 13 weeks to get deliveries on materials. They might be starting some of the underground work before that, but it really looks like it's not going to be much activity, at least for the next month and a half. I was trying to get them to try to do the sidewalk and underground work on the east side of the street, which is where the kids go to school, so that if it goes off into the school season, it wouldn't affect that. But we have had contingencies for that if that's the case. I believe the council has before this evening the final change order on DOT 14. That project is now complete. We had a pre-construction meeting on DOT 15, which is that's Third, Willow, and Myrtle, small sections of Myrtle, small sections of Willow, and 3rd Avenue. That project should begin around the 10th of July on 3rd Avenue. So we're doing that first, and then we'll move over to Myrtle and Willow. We also had a pre-construction meeting on the sidewalk. The start date for the sidewalk program is July 20th, and that should move on from there without too much stoppage on the process. The bids are out on Center Street for the resurfacing of Center Street. The bids are going to be received on the 13th of July, so we're looking at probably maybe that in August, assuming everything works out right with the awarded contract, etc. So that's all I have.
Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Goriello? None. Mr. Anand, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Let's see, what we did the contracts for the two projects that Mr. Goriello mentioned, the sidewalk project and the DOT project. We also prepared for your consideration this evening the handicap parking space at 346 Willow Avenue. I guess I would mention that what's not on the agenda is the ordinance adopting the redevelopment plan. There were some technical issues that I asked the planning board to address, and hopefully they'll get addressed in the next couple of weeks. And then I have the ordinance pretty much drafted, but I just need to plug in some information on the, as I said, some technical issues that I need to address.
Okay, thank you. Any questions of Mr. Anand? Seeing none, we'll move on. Any unfinished business?
Wait, you skipped me.
Sorry, Zariella.
I never had anything, I finally do. That's how you want?
You want to stand up?
No. So I just want to update on my tree planting for 2016. So, you know, last year we did the bond, and you put $2,500 in the bond for me to plant with a matching grant from the county. That's $5,000. So the county's going out for bid for planting. We're going to plant in the fall. I'm going to participate in that bid with the county. But you got a letter in your maybe last week packet for 2016 Greening Union County. So we know it's a matching grant, but we have $5,000 that we got from taking down that tree at the Westfield Senior Housing. So that could be your match. I can clip another $5,000 from this grant. That'll give us $15,000 to plant. And if the bids come in about $200 a tree, it'll be about 75 trees that we'll plant now. To make up all the trees we took down. The shade trees on the street will be a particular tree that won't cause the kind of damage the trees that we're dealing with cause. And we'll plant some trees in the parks. So I just need you to say that it's okay for me to submit this grant for $5,000. We'll match it from that $5,000, so it's like a free $5,000.
Right. I think it's great.
Any comments?
I think
Should
it's
we
great.
pursue it as a council?
Okay, so I'll prepare the grant, I'll prepare a resolution for next meeting. Okay, great, that's all I have.
Thank you. Any unfinished business? I have two small things this evening. Just a reminder, that the Food Emporium ribbon cutting will be Friday, July 8th at 11 a.m. in the morning. Anybody who can participate would be greatly appreciated. And I would just like to thank the 84 residents in Garwood who participated in the Garwood yard sale this past weekend. Thank you very much. Any new business before the council? Yes.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, I actually wanted to thank you for taking my, right here. That's it. I didn't get that.
Okay, thank you. So new business before us, we'll go on to comments or matters for discussion from members of council. Councilwoman Kukrow.
Thank you, Mayor.
Now you can leave it.
I wanted to thank you very much for taking my recommendation to the planning board about having the variance application process downsized and scaled back to make it more user-friendly for the residents that I found to be confusing. So I saw that a committee was formed.
That's
And I
correct.
really want to thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate it for everybody that had great fun. So thanks again.
Thank you. Is that all?
Oh, that's it. Are you
Okay.
surprised? You want me to keep going?
No, I figured out some more on the senior liaison.
Oh, I have plenty on that.
Okay. Yes, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, Councilman Martin. Thank you. Councilman Matthew.
Nothing tonight, Mayor.
Thank you. Councilman Sino.
Yes, Mayor. I know a couple weeks back you had asked me to take a look into putting stop signs at East Street, and did a little research, with the help of the chief. And stop signs, they're one of the most requested services by neighborhood residents, are not considered traffic calming devices, meaning they're not the most effective tool to do so.
Okay.
They penalize good drivers, and they can reduce speed on the street, although by mid-block, speeds are as high or higher than those locations are without stop signs. So the thing is that may not be the most effective measure. However, the fact of the matter is, speeding was brought up on that street, and that is being addressed. The police are always running constant radar. They also have the sign up, and they constantly station that at different points throughout the town. So it's not to say it's a lost cause, but there are different measures to go about it. And if we want to take this into committee, we can definitely do so. But I think that
Would you think that'd be the advantage to take to the committee at this point? Should we just,
I'll leave it up to you.
I think I'd like to pursue it a little bit more.
No problem.
Thank you. Anything else, Councilman?
No.
Thank you.
You want to mention this?
Oh, that's what, I knew it was something. Thank you.
It's so informative tonight.
Thank you. About 6 weeks ago, I mentioned that maybe we should pursue a recycling contract by renewing the one we have. The increase is only about $360. It's the same thing I said about 2 months ago. I recommend we pursue that action. We renew now with all the volatile prices that are going on in the market. I think it's smart and advantageous for Garland to pursue another year with this contract.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I agree with that. Joe, 360 over what period? Is that per pickup, or is that over the life of the contract?
For the next year, it'd be actually, I stand corrected, a $346 increase from last year. And that's based on percentages from the state. There were 2 quarters where there was like zero inflation. It's kind of tracking that. And overall, it would only be like a 50-bip increase. So you're talking like $300 yearly, the same.
For a full year?
Right, so it's only a $300
Yeah.
increase from I guess it was like 69.3 last year. So you're looking at 69,646.
Yeah, I think that's a great idea, so I would totally support instructing the clerk to pursue a 1-year extension, because we could do 2 1-year extensions.
Right, it's like 1-year options.
Yeah, one of the 1-year
Yeah.
options, because I agree with you.
At the same cost, at the same increase?
They can give you.
Or is there a different increase for the second
Well,
year?
then the next year would be based on that index again.
Oh, okay.
They have to agree with that, right, Bob? They don't-
Council
they
President,
force-
you have?
Nope, we had it in the contract, so.
All right, awesome.
The only, talk over what the
Okay.
procedure is, but no, they don't have an option not to renew if it was in the contract for option years.
Okay, cool, great. We'll get on that. Thank you.
I do not have a problem with only a $360 increase. I know that in previous years, we've always tried to go out for bid for stuff just to try to make it cheaper, but in discussions with the deputy superintendent, we can see where things are going. It could come in much, much higher, so I'm fine with
Very
360.
good. So at this point, we have a consensus, we'll go forward.
Fine with me as well.
Okay. Very good, thank you. All right, Councilwoman Tedesco.
Thanks, Mayor. I have 2 items this evening. The first one was a matter that was brought to the attention of the Finance Committee. Our Recreation Commission had first tried to encumber $6,000 for the purchase of soccer goals, since they are currently damaged goals at the complex. And I did a little more research on it. I spoke with the Recreation Commission chairman, and he actually forwarded me the exact quote, which is for $3,200. So I was definitely happy to see that the number went from 6,000 down to 3,200 for delivery and everything included in that. So the issue is that the recreation complex has been very successful in generating revenue, much of which in this year's budget was put to offset the maintenance costs that were in a line item in the budget, which was good, we all agreed. Some tree work needed to be done at the recreation complex to a tune of $6,300. So significant tree work. I saw the tree that was right near the building swaying, definitely a risky situation. Of course, we have no choice but to be responsible and take down those trees. However, our shade tree budget this year was drastically cut over last year. So last year it was funded around $24,000, now it's been cut back to $8,000. That money was expended, so the $6,300 had to come out of somewhere. So the thought was to have it come out of the money generated by the complex. With that being done, and the fact that a door at the complex, due to an accident, was broken, and that cost about $1,000, there's about $3,000 left right now in that account that is generated revenue through rentals. However, more rentals can be expected in the fall. For instance, last fall, at least $5,700 was generated just in youth soccer rentals. So it's no guarantee, of course, but we can pretty much expect the same thing. We've been seeing the same organizations come back spring and fall seasons. So basically, the way I see it as finance chair here is, number one, we have to pay for the trees. We would have been negligent to not do that. We wouldn't want anybody to get hurt or the building to be damaged by not taking down the trees. We also have a pretty autonomous recreation commission that has been doing a good job in generating revenue at the complex, and they also, sometimes with time and use, which is a good thing, things do get worn down or damaged, and I think they need the ability to purchase that. So what we could do, I talked to our CFO, is that basically for right now, we could charge either the $6,300 for trees or the $3,200 for the soccer goals to the regular buildings and grounds budget, since there are sufficient funds there. Then in the fall, once rental money comes in, there would then be plenty of money in that trust account, which we could just reallocate where the expenditure was taking place. So instead of coming out of buildings and grounds, it would then come out of the trust account. So that's just my recommendation at this point, knowing the information that it's $3,200, and I was informed that there's about $3,000 left in the account. I don't have the exact dollar, but I don't necessarily think it would be a great idea to dwindle that to zero, even if it was a perfect match. So given the time of the year, I think it would be a good option to just charge it to the buildings and grounds line, and then going forward, charge it to the money generated by the complex. So hope I explained that well. I know it was a bit lengthy, but just trying to be detailed.
Any comments?
I have a couple questions, if you don't mind. When the soccer goals, they just wear out? How old were they?
Couple years, but they basically were damaged mainly due to, I guess they do wear with use, but also there were children reported like hanging on them, and metal bends and things like that. So
So it's for the people that rented it out? Is there any kind of
no,
like?
it's not really for the people that rented it out. They have their organizations, so they have coaches there. Would highly doubt that children were, swinging on the goals at that
So
point.
there's no insurance liability for something that's broken to misuse, let's say?
There is, if it's the rental
Okay.
doing that, but it was determined that it wasn't the rental company doing
Okay.
that, so it's just one of those
All right.
costs with the territory. But I think with a relatively new complex like we have, to leave it with broken nets doesn't really
Yeah, how the heck could it get
make
broken
sense.
away?
I mean, there are cameras down there.
Okay, I mean, I'm assuming you got more than one estimate when you knocked it down to 3,200 for the goals.
I don't know that for a fact. It's the Recreation Commission that obtains the quotes.
Okay, maybe-
They sent me the one,
All
but
right, maybe we can find that out, because I'm assuming they shopped around. All right,
Thanks.
also, what was the?
What would they-
Yeah, I mean, because, I mean.
and we have a
everybody
policy
shops,
on that, right, Ms. Ariamo?
Sorry?
What's our purchasing
They
policy
have
on
to
that
get more
one?
than quote. They have
For
to-
a certain amount or more, right?
I think it's over $1,000.
Over 1,000? Okay.
I guess-
So, that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, they might have already, I don't really
All right,
know
well,
for
that's, I
sure.
mean, before the money's spent, I'm assuming that you'll get the best possible price that we can compare,
I would
okay?
certainly think
All right.
that's what the goal of commission would
Okay.
be.
All right, $1,000, what kind of an accident like ruined the door? If you don't mind me asking. Did somebody run
No,
the car
the
into
police
it?
looked into
No,
it.
it
No, it
was-
wasn't. Go
Go ahead,
ahead.
Councilwoman. Yeah, the chief reviewed the tapes and basically it was normal kicking of a ball. There was no vandalism involved. So he deemed that it was no vandalism, it was just a basic accident.
Kicking a regular ball, or what are those heavyweight balls? What kind of ball?
Chief, if I may, Chief,
Okay.
you remember what kind of ball it was? I thought it was in your report.
A female playing lacrosse or a group of kids playing soccer, one or the other. And there's no netting on that end behind protecting glass. That would be a fault as well. But just an overshot, wasn't vandalism, happened during the course of play. Unfortunately, no one came forward and said, oh, we did this while we were down there.
Well, there's cameras there, right? So I guess the cameras weren't on when it happened.
Oh, they were on.
They were on?
Yes.
They're deep.
Okay,
They're a little far away.
okay. All right,
So hit one of the glass doors, I'm guessing.
It's a triple pane door and then I
Right.
broke one, thank God.
I got it. Wow, that was a hard goal, I guess. All right. I think that might be it, the soccer balls. Also, a quick question. These are all the Recreation Commission meetings, all in one fell swoop. We were emailed all at one time. They don't get sent out monthly to review, or
What do
they
you
get all
mean?
sent at once?
Minutes.
The minutes for all the meetings, I
She's not
print-
the liaison, like this.
Right, so do,
No, they come that way.
they come four at a time,
No, it's
so.
supposed to come on.
Yeah, all right, the question I'm answering, because I was looking over all four, so I'm looking over all these reports, and I really can't get my head wrapped around it. I guess I thought they were supposed to be coming out per month, so that we can look at them each month.
Yeah, I'll take care of it.
You'll take care of that? Okay, because like I said, it was a lot to read, I was just trying to. All right, so it is supposed to be per month, okay. That'll do it for me, thank
Okay.
you.
I mean, when did
Good
the soccer
questions.
goal become damaged? That's my question. Do we know? Recently, a couple months ago? I mean, here's the thing, we're hearing all this stuff about the recreation department. I have not heard one report from you, Mr. Martin, all year. All year. These are big deals that are going on here. This is a field that's supposed to be the center of town. We were all there celebrating it. And then all these little things are going on. We're starting the recreation season since school's out. I haven't heard one report. I'm a little disappointed, and I expect that we do receive these reports, so we're not a little bit blindsided by this kind of information. You know, it kind of makes us all look foolish. And that's all I have to say, really.
And I just have a question. I mean, I understand about the minutes, but Mike, were you at the meetings? I mean, because you could have just told us about the meetings. Did you? You haven't been at the meetings? Mayor?
I'm addressing that.
Yeah, can we maybe get somebody who can attend the meetings? Because then you could just go ahead and give the impression.
Or maybe
Let people know.
encourage Councilman Warren to go.
Yeah, we can encourage them to go, that'd be nice, but, you know, we've had a lapse here in the information, and I would think that when you appoint
And I was
someone.
taking care of that.
I'm just saying that I think that if you appoint someone as liaison, that's encouragement enough.
Okay.
We know the responsibilities of our positions.
Thank you.
And I just want to state one thing on this, that, I mean, we say that the athletic field is self-supporting. It's not. None of the debt is picked up by the fees we collect. The budget for this year was $19,000. We took $15,000 and applied it toward that. Now, if we rob Peter to pay Paul, go ahead, take this $3,200, the $1,000 for the door, the $6,300 for the tree maintenance, which I agree has to be done. We're now putting them in arrears for next year's maintenance. And they're already 5,000 behind. So if anything explodes the myth further that the athletic field is self-supporting, I just want to say, it's been said from this dais, and I'm very disappointed the athletic field in Garwood is not self-supporting, and you've had further evidence of it tonight. And I hope we stop saying that. Thank you.
Just to, before I move on to my second item, though, I just want to say that when 15,000 was determined to offset the maintenance cost and 5,000 to still be funded through the budget, there was money also left in that account, so pretty much a wash there. But I would agree with you, Councilman, that in the sense that it's not paying off the debt payments, that's true. But in that maintenance cost, well, that depends on the rentals versus the expenses. Also, something like trees costing $6,300, which is a huge hit. There were trees at that area before that we would have to pay if they needed to go down, and I'm sure it's the same tree. So, we do just have to make sure we pay for these things. So, just to close on this, because Councilwoman Cooper, I thought you made a great question, and I do want to follow through with that. But once we confirm that they got the best quote out of 3, then can we all agree as a council to take that money out of the buildings and grounds budget for now, and then have it come out of the money generated by the complex once that's generated in the fall?
Well, I'm the chair of that committee. Can we have once we go ahead and get that, can we have a committee meeting there?
Okay.
Yeah, we could go ahead and do that.
If I may, though, does the committee really discuss where items are charged? I mean, we are really
I
doing...
think they should each check the bid over, the quote, to be said, and you can do the financial part of it.
Thank you.
Okay. Ms. Ariama, do you have any thoughts on that? Because I do feel like we're getting a little nitpicky with where items are charged out of. I know you asked for our opinion as a finance committee, but...
In this particular matter, but generally, department heads decide where things are being charged.
Right, I just want to undermine that
Right.
process,
Thank you, Mayor.
because we might be
Support.
undermining that
Yeah.
even further in the
You're gonna have a
future.
short meeting, look it over, and your leisure, please. The financial aspect of it.
I do have a question. What committee is this that we're talking about? What committee is he chair of that we're going to
Those are the
discuss?
grounds that we take the money from.
Oh, okay, all right. That'll be our first meeting of this year. So
Okay.
I have another quick one, just before I forget. Is any of this stuff, are they fundraisable things? Because I'm a real big fundraiser thing. I mean, some of these things that come up, if the field, as council, maybe Matthew said, it's not supporting itself yet. I'm hoping in the future that it will be. So everything that's concerning the field will be offset by the field, the money that's coming in. Can soccer goals and all this stuff, can it be offset with fundraising? I thought it worked out really good with the rededication. I'm like a really big proponent of that. I raised my son that way, we grew up that way. What about and people are a lot more apt to give their money willingly for something like that as opposed to having it taken unwillingly via taxes and increased spending. So, just to be, fiscally aware, can that be done?
On the subject of fundraising, the Recreation Commission is doing tremendous fundraising by renting the facility. Also, they have had other ideas in the past. I know from being liaison in the past, they discussed maybe putting vending machines in. I don't know really what the conclusion was on whether they can or not and how that works as a government entity-owned property, but they do have ideas, so I wouldn't want to sell the commission short. They're a group of volunteers, and overall, I think they do a good job. But also, too, with fundraising, as I've said before, time and time again, we fundraise in this borough, and I know a lot of residents and businesses are taxed. Doesn't mean that we stop trying, but I think that it has to be really concrete. And to just say, let's fundraise for everything, I don't know that it's always feasible. So, just throwing it out there. As somebody who pounds the pavement a lot of times for the Lions Club, the Education Foundation, and the Baseball League, I know how taxed some of our residents and businesses can be.
No, I know, I was on the receiving end of all that while my son was growing up, and I remember how many candies we bought,
sure.
how many bake sales, so we did it all, and but it always worked, so I just thought maybe to offset some of the spending, and, that would be wonderful.
Mayor, I'm sorry, I do have a second item on a related topic. So later on this evening, there's an introduction, an ordinance for introduction, that capital bond ordinance that we agreed upon for $33,000 for tanks for the fire department and the fingerprinting machine for the police department. And at the last meeting, a resident brought up that it seemed like an awfully low amount of money to bond. So as finance chair, I did want to find out, so we would have the information as to how much we do have in our capital account. and our CFO informed me that we have just shy of $100,000 there. So I know that the concern over purchasing the garbage truck was debt and increasing the borough's debt. So we do have the option, if we want, to take it out of that capital account, and then we would not have to finance $4,500 in interest over the life of the bond on the $33,000. So just throwing that out there as a possibility, and looking forward to other thoughts.
That seems like a win-win. You don't have to borrow the money, there's no interest paid on it, the money's sitting there.
Anyone else?
So we would just not pass the ordinance, we wouldn't vote to introduce it.
I love
If
that.
others agree.
I like that.
I'm perfectly fine with that. That makes sense.
Councilman Sanders, you have any comments?
We agreed to write this whole thing. I just have I'm on the fence on this. I mean, I'm not one way or the other.
Okay.
But I understand the point. I get it.
Okay.
Check down with Councilman Sarno on this, I just want to think it through a little bit more. Because I don't know what other CapEx.
It'll come up the, regular.
I guess so during the regular meeting, if it, just so everyone knows procedurally, if the ordinance tonight for introduction were to pass, then we would move forward for an adoption to then go through with the capital bond ordinance, so incurring that debt. Or if it fails this evening, then we should then draft up what would be called a capital ordinance, because of taking out the bonding there, so just a capital ordinance. It would be introduced at the next meeting and then up for a vote to pass at the following meeting. So timetable for the departments getting their items is the same either way, essentially. So I just want to make everyone aware of that.
Thank you, your thoughts.
The only thing I need to say that is if you don't pass the bond tonight and you don't direct the attorney to prepare a capital ordinance tonight, you would do it at the next council meeting, then that would push back.
Correct. I think we should, if it doesn't pass tonight, we should direct the attorney to prepare a capital ordinance so that we can take it out of the cash.
So we'll be prepared for intro next time, if you get that message.
Councilman Boudreaux.
Point of order, Mr. Renard, for a bond ordinance, I know you need 4 council votes to pass it. Do you need 4 to introduce it?
Somebody asked me that a while ago. I don't think there's a definite answer on that, but I've spoken to the bond attorney on that specific issue. And his opinion, like mine, is that in the absence of any definitive court opinions, and he has to, remember, he has to issue at the end of this whole process an opinion. And he said that he would not give an opinion that the ordinance was valid if it didn't have 2/3 majority on both readings.
On both readings.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, anything else, Councilwoman?
Okay, so, do we all understand that, though, just so that we know? Because the vote tonight on introduction is very telling as to whether or not we move forward in bond, or we direct the attorney to draft the capital ordinance so that we're still buying the items. We all agreed, all 6 of us, that we certainly do want the items. It's just a matter of how to pay for it. Do we incur the debt and introduce the ordinance tonight, or do we take it out of the capital account, pay cash, and introduce an ordinance next time? I hope that clarifies.
Is there any downside to it? To one as opposed to the other? Because I'm all for not borrowing
Right.
money, so
I
I'm.
think it's preference, really,
Okay.
cash versus bonding on this.
Okay.
So where's the cash? What account is that?
It's the capital
Okay.
fund.
But we hit that all.
No,
We had 80-something thousand we put towards the budget,
no.
and I wasn't told correctly. I don't know.
There was another account that we did hit for 85,000, you're right, we depleted that. That was a one-time fund.
That was from the bond issuance, Joe. That's from that was overage from the bond issuance. Because they paid a premium on that bond.
Right. I get that point.
Okay. Anything else, Councilwoman?
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Council President? Representative? Okay. Oh,
Before you go, there's 2 things I forgot to mention, and I apologize. One is I did mention the recreation grant for the trees, but they also sent you simultaneously the kids' recreation for 2016, which is also due in August which I need to start to prepare if you want to submit. It's a matching grant, and it's recreation. So last year, you guys decided not to do that because you didn't want to put up any monies on the match. Let me just see if it's a regular. Yeah. So the grant is for recreation improvements, which is basically the same thing they put out in the previous years. It says for the dollars for creation, enhancement, or the replacement of recreation facilities in the municipality. So if you want to apply for this grant, you have to match it. And you have to tell me what you want to apply for, and I have to prepare it. It's due in August. You don't have to tell me tonight, but I don't like to wait till the last minute to do anything. So maybe you could go over, I sent you the letter.
Maybe the soccer goal and the,
No, you can't buy recreation equipment with it.
no, is it really not
No.
recreation equipment? Okay, so it's like to the real property? Is that
Yeah,
what
like
it is?
say you wanted to do some upgrades to the building.
field or something like that.
Yeah, with the field, yes, you
But
can
not
borrow
the-
money for that,
Okay.
but you can't buy equipment.
It's always like freaking fire mileage, you can't use them for anything, you know? It's like these
Yeah.
things.
So
Councilman
maybe-
Petrozelli, you were Buildings and Grounds Chair last year. Did you talk about that at Buildings and Grounds? Because I know I brought it up last year that we set one out. We had been going after the,
Yeah, you don't have to, you guys don't have to tell me tonight. Definitely July 12th, I would need to know, because I would have to prepare that grant and the resolutions to prepare that grant.
We should have a plan before we do anything.
Right,
That's
right.
the key.
exactly.
I'm not doing this just to do something, just because I want to say.
We always
Right,
remind
I
you it's a
agree.
match.
Right.
No, exactly.
Right.
We're gonna match, we're gonna put up, we're gonna have a good plan to do so.
Okay.
Mhm.
I know, Councilman, I hate the matching stuff. How much can you apply for?
We've applied for $1 million and gotten 100,
Well, obviously, we're not
200,
matching
300,000.
that, so.
Right. Well, when we were building the complex that we went full
Yeah,
throttle to try to get it all.
I know.
And we got a lot of money out of them. We got over $500,000. But you're not going to make application for that now, because you're not going to
The-
build another building.
I'm going to the freeholder meeting next month. I'm gonna kind of ask them if there's any matchless grants. You think they'll answer me? I wonder if they'll answer me.
Yes, actually, I just got a letter today
They answered
and that I'm going to
before.
put in your Friday
Yeah.
packet.
I don't want to know what they told me. What's in the packet?
Keep it on
I'm
the base,
going to
please.
put it on in your Friday packet.
Okay.
It came in the mail today, but the county's giving away something for free if you're interested. So you'll find out about that on Friday. And I have one other thing real quick. On May 31st, I sent you guys Boju's email from from the New Jersey State League of Municipalities concerning COA. And it was an urgent matter, and they asked you to take action about the gap period. I prepared the resolution, and I sent you an email. I failed to bring it up at last council meeting. I apologize, but I said it was prepared for last meeting and deleted from the agenda if you wanted to move it. Does anybody recall it? I have the resolution right here. If you want to, it might be too late. They might have passed this already. I don't know if anybody keeps up with this.
I
This
thought it
is,
was in committee the last time
this is
we,
the email. This is the thing from Trent.
yeah, just talking about, one of the ones that Tom Kane's sponsoring, talking about that a prior gap period can or
Right.
cannot be
So I have,
included in for a further time. I have no problem
I have
passing
the
the
resolution
resolution.
prepared, but it's not on the agenda. I gave it all to you in that email.
Right.
But I think it was something that was, did they vote on it yet, do you know? Because they did in, your efforts.
I don't think there's been a vote on that.
No, I don't think they voted on that specifically because it's in committee the last
And there
time I
was
checked.
there was a bad legislation that came out, was it Ocean County?
Well, that's what stemmed it.
That was part of it, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'll pass this around and we can read the resolution and the stuff real quick, and then at the council meeting, you can tell me whether or not you want
And a few other towns
to
have
leave it
passed
on
this
the
already
consent agenda.
throughout the state. Just want to point that out. I've read it, and East Windsor was one of them.
Pass it
One
around,
corridor,
and
things
it will
like
happen
that.
at the regular meeting. That's all I
I'll
have.
just, is there anything about what we're talking about?
No, I wanted to see the resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Let's go, well,
Give
come,
it to the mayor if you want to give it to the
Yeah, I can-
council first. Okay.
yeah, well, I have more copies of the resolution here, so I'll leave one resolution here and pass around, and then you can pass this to Mr. Renatus, the letter and the resolution.
Mayor, if I just
Yes.
may, on the rec trust, sorry, rec kids grant, last year, one of the topics was Hartman Park and plan on the horizon for that, so just something to put in the ear of the committee from last year.
Mayor, I did see this, thank you for reminding me. Yes, I can tell you, do you want me to explain it to you?
Please.
Okay. The last round that was effective in the affordable housing realm with code ended in 1999. So there's been so much litigation up and down the courts, to the Supreme Court, and back and up and down, that there were two iterations of the third round rules, which ultimately the Supreme Court threw out, Cullen didn't adopt, and to make kind of long story short, there's a 25-year period basically from 2000 through 2015, which is 15 years. That's up to where we were when we started this process, and then another 10 years from 2015 to 2025. The League of Municipalities has argued that the gap period, which is the 2000 to 2015 period of time, that there is no affordable housing obligation during that period because of the fact that the Fair Housing Act talks about prospective need for affordable housing. The affordable housing advocates urge that what we're looking to set is the full 25-year period, and that 15-year period, as I said, is called the gap period. So this resolution has been prepared by the League of Municipalities to urge the legislature to I guess amend the Fair Housing Act to make clear that there is no gap period. So I don't see, I don't know how much effect it will have, but it certainly isn't going to do any harm. So, I mean, I think I would recommend that we adopt it.
I mean, the biggest thing is it cumulative, right? That's the biggest key from that gap period. Does that get added on to all of our future gap periods, or does this thing reset? That's ultimately what we're saying. And I think that's what that resolution kind of depicts. To me, it should reset. I definitely agree with the league on this, and yeah, I definitely recommend passing this as well as a resolution.
I agree.
Do we have a consensus of passing this evening?
Absolutely.
Yes.
Based on that explanation, George?
Thank you, Mr. Renata, appreciate it.
No problem.
Okay?
I'll need all that back.
Yes, it's coming.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, we'll go to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience who wishes to address the mayor and council? Please step to the microphone, sign in, state your full name and address, present your comments for 3 minutes. I'd just like to state to the council in general that we must remember this is the residents' time to speak to us. If you have a comment back, that's fine, but try not to give it back and forth, even between us on the dais, and we greatly appreciate it. Anyone like to step forward at this time, please?
Hi, Jen Blumenstock, 315 Spruce. I just guess I wanted to comment on the issue that Councilman Tedisco brought up about taking the money out of the capital fund rather than bonding for the fire equipment and the police equipment. And to me, that seems perfectly logical. And then it seemed that Councilman Matthew and Councilman Sarno, you seem to have some questions still about that. And I'm just not sure why, you're very much against, obviously, incurring debt. You've been quite vocal about that. So it doesn't quite make sense why you're questioning that. So I just urge you to think about it, and then once the meeting comes along, to vote down the intro so that we at least can save the $4,500. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good evening, Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, Council.
Mr. Patterson.
But anyway, Bruce Patterson, 325 OF. A couple of, I'll try sure.
3 minutes, sir.
The Center Street intersection that the county's going to do, maybe Don could help us on this. But I mean, like 3 years from now, something's going to go over there at the south property. And obviously there's going to be traffic studies and possibly a reconfiguration of that intersection and the streets around there. To me, it appears the county really would be wasting money in rebuilding that intersection, because at this point, the intersection is a workable intersection. Maybe it's not up to whatever new standards, but I can't see why we would allow the county to be ripping up an intersection that was done a couple of years ago and is now going to be done again, and probably will be done another time in 3-4 years. I mean, there's something we can do about that. It's like wasting money.
Well, I think, first of all, anything that generated by the South project should be paid for by the South project. So if there's changes to that signal that have to be brought in, just widening the road or anything like that, that should be borne by them, not having any bearing on the borough. So I don't think the borough should be concerned about that. I think you'd be better off getting the upgraded signal and let those kids forward in a minute.
But if the South developer is going to be paying for the intersection, then why should the county be redoing the intersection now and we're paying for it?
Well, we don't know whether, first of all, whether they're going to do anything with the intersection, whether the developer is going to have to do anything with the intersection. You know, you have buildings on 3 corners that can't really be changed, so there's not a heck of a lot you can do on. You can't widen South Avenue to 100 feet. It's only so much room there, and to widen in one direction, there really isn't going to be a significant change in the traffic pattern. There can't be. And so I don't see what the signal change would be. And as I said, if there are signal changes that have to be arranged, the signals have to be widened, moved back for some reason, they should be moved back at the expense of the developer.
Just for you, I guess you really don't know exactly what they're planning to do and why they're doing it.
What, Cal?
No, the county and
They're
the
doing a whole new intersection.
Yeah, the purpose behind that?
To bring it up to today's standards.
Instead of,
Is that the lighting also is still
All
there?
the lighting will be changed. You'll have
Okay.
the pedestrian crossings, you'll have the cameras on the poles for traffic control, so.
all right, that's a losing battle, I can see that. The tree grant, the greening of the county, $5,000 for a tree that Ms. Ariel was talking about. I would assume that's the $5,000 we got from the dead spruce.
Williams near State
Near State
Memorial
Spruce.
Tree.
All right, so it's coming to fruition.
Memorial.
Okay, it's still good, still doing good things with it. The recycling, I guess that was Councilman Sarno that mentioned about the recycling contract, possibly re-upping it. At this, and so I guess you also mentioned the DPW of Fanwood. Now obviously, I don't know if you really all know, but the Fanwood is closing down their drive-in recycling where the residents actually put the recycling materials over to something on South Avenue, their Quick Check or North Avenue.
That's correct.
So they're going out to some recycling contract also. So why can't we, I mean, if we're in a shared services situation, why can't we combine the recycling somehow to get the best bang for our buck? Anyone?
The borough of Fanwood did not go out for bid on recycling. They're going with Plainfield Municipal Utilities or whatever that authority is, and they're paying big bucks.
Yeah, actually, I read some letters that are actually
Yeah,
spending more
they're not, they
money.
didn't go out for bid, they don't have to, and so we don't want to go there.
Well, how about going to Fanwood and say, hey, listen, why don't we all go out
That's
together?
not my call, but I'm just saying, they're paying.
All right, another losing battle.
Yeah, it's a lot of money.
Any other else, Mr. Patterson?
Yeah, a couple more items. 30,000.
You're up to 5 minutes already, sir.
30, all the police, right? $38,000 bond. I appreciate Councilwoman Tedesco bringing it up, talking to the CFO. She said she would, and it looks like we have an alternative, which I appreciate. Just a question, you mentioned $4,500 in interest. Is that dollar amount actually just interest, or is that including whatever professional fees would go along with that? Is that over and above the $4,500?
That was just $4,500 in interest.
Oh, but there would be professional fees probably incurred for this bond, right?
Yeah.
So it's a larger savings, actually, what you're saying.
It is and it's not though, because we had an ordinance drawn up tonight, so there's cost incurred there. So, but overall, it's still a savings.
Okay, thank you very much.
You're not increasing the debt, so.
Thank you very much for doing that. And the matching grants. No, real quick. I was at the Freeholders, and I've been arguing over the matching grants for probably the last 3 months. It's like talking to rocks. I mean, you know, that's basically what it is. You think I'm losing battles here, you know, you should watch me. But anyway, I mean, I'm conceding, yes, we should have some skin in the game. I believe that was your terminology maybe, or Jim's terminology, by matching some grants. But I'm saying, well, why can't we just compromise? And instead of like a full dollar matching grant, or even 50% matching grant, and this is what I'm talking to the county actually, go with 25% matching grant. In other words, you know, they give us $5,000, we do the $1,250. You know, that's something. That's a little bit of pain. We're showing our good faith. If anything, and I asked the council maybe to put together a resolution to pass around the town saying no more matching grants, but maybe tone it down to like a 25% matching grant. And that way we would be showing good faith in searching for these county grants, which basically is our own money given back to us.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Anyone else? Seeing none at this time, the motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Are we ready to proceed, council?
Uh,
We need a minute, please.